Hello, hello, my dear Diamond Effect podcast listeners. Welcome to the next episode of the podcast 239. And today I want to help you answer the questions that many service-based business owners have is to how do I stop being a bottleneck in my business? Because quite often, as you start growing a service business, you are the main service provider. And then, of course, you're wearing all the other hats of chief marketing officer, CEO, the financial person, the admin person, and so on. And of course, as we're doing everything on our own, our business can grow only as far as our skill set goes, our capacity to manage things, and just human capacity. There's only 24 hours in a day, and there's only so much you can do in a day on a week. But even as your business grows and you start hiring people, you can still be a bottleneck if you don't lead your team and structure your business with certain systems and technology that it can operate without you having to touch everything. To answer those questions, first, of course, we need to recognize when you're being the bottleneck and then what to do about it. So, today I want to talk about 6 instances that I see business owners being bottlenecks in their business. And I will share quick tools or quick advice or quick tips. Stop doing that so your business can grow and you also can live a life outside of your business and just help it expand without you getting overwhelmed or burnt out. Okay, so let's go. One of the biggest thing I see that stops businesses from growing is actually gaps in the skill sets that you as a business owner have in order to allow the business to grow. And usually those are not skills to provide the service, but rather business skills. Many business owners start business because they're passionate about their industry, about the area of expertise that they have with which they help clients, right? So you might be a general contractor and you love construction, or you're a health and wellness practitioner and you love helping people through your therapy or massage or spa treatments or whatever. Or you might be a professional organizer or a designer and you love to see your clients' transformations and joy when they see beautiful house, clean, organized, nicely decorated, and so on. And you come into entrepreneurship without realizing that there are actual business skills that you need to acquire and learn. Because, for example, if you don't have sales skills, converting potential leads into clients will be very hard. You'll convert way less of them, and therefore that will slow down your growth. If, for example, once you start growing and you overcome that, and then the next thing might be, okay, now I have a team and I don't know how to lead them. I'm lacking people leadership skills. And when that happens, you will realize that it's very hard for you to find the right people, to retain the right people. Very often I see business owners complain and blame other things, that it's like people are not good or that it's the economy and that's the client, when in reality, it's just their skill gap. And I find it amusing sometimes when we realize at the logical level that, hey, interior design, let's say it's a skill set and I acquired it, and there was a time when I didn't know how to do it. We understand that if we wanted to win Olympics in swimming, we would have to learn how to swim, not just at the recreational level, but at the professional level with techniques and mastery of that skill set. But yet we go into entrepreneurship very often without recognizing that there are skill sets that you need to master at more than recreational level to get some serious results. So I will give you an example from my corporate role in different the skill sets made. About 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, I was in one of the roles in corporate leadership. So about 10 years ago, I was in one role, a facility manager role, And I got a phone call from my former boss saying to me, Maggie, there is this team in our company within a department where their manager was let go because they weren't performing and the team wasn't performing. And that was like a sixth or eighth manager in the past 2 years. And my boss told me, I'm tired of that team underperforming and really not doing a great job because my team has to collaborate with them and they really need a skilled people leader. Would you consider applying for that position now that it's vacant? And I was starting to think that the role I was in was kind of ending for me in a sense where I got what I wanted out of it and I was ready for a move. And I applied for that manager position, which I got. And within a year and a half, I turned that team around with the same people who used to be blamed for not being effective, for being bad employees, for making all the mistakes and all the things where they weren't really liked in the corporation because their low performance created many issues, not only in their own department, but outside of it. And I was able to turn that around and create a really high performing team, mostly with the same people, hiring a couple more because they were understaffed, turn them to the point where their confidence as employees in themselves grew, their collaboration as a team grew, and that allowed the broader team to grow and be ready for scale. So it created the foundation for further scaling. And the only thing that changed was the skill set of a manager, right? So business skills is a real skill. And when, as a business owner and CEO, you're lacking that skill, the results you will be getting, whether it's through your team or whether it's if you're a solopreneur doing everything yourself, will be so much worse because you don't have a skill. And it's not to undermine your ability because I believe we can all learn any skill we want. We don't need to be super talented or gifted. I believe that my leadership skills, I truly acquired them and learned them throughout my career, that I wasn't some magically gifted person, but I took them seriously. I took training, mentorship courses, and so on that allowed me to be skilled. So it's just to tell you that as a leader of your business, you owe it to your business to identify this gaps in the skill sets that you have that might be that block for your business to grow, and just go after and fill those gaps, whether it's through courses, through books, through a coach like myself. I'm really passionate and big about teaching my clients skills that they need for their business to grow right now and in the future, because this is the thing that makes them true leaders, that create their resilience and the resilience for their business for any economic times. Because if I'm skilled, I can swim even in the rough water and do well, maybe a bit slower, but still do well. And that makes them independent. So my clients get results in their business and keep growing their business long after they stop coaching with me because they learned the skills. So no matter how you acquire them, first you need to identify what are the skill sets that I'm needing that are creating a current issue or current issues in my business that are preventing me from the growth, and I need to focus and commit and invest in myself and grow as a leader. And that will remove the blocks. That was number one. Number two, how do you stop being a bottleneck in your business is when you are clear on your trajectory, on the most important aspects in your business. So then that allows you to make strategic, fast decision. Very often businesses stall because the owners lack clarity on where are they going. And with that, what's important to focus on And I talked about it in depth in episode 237 from January 23rd this year. It's not such a old episode, but I highly recommend you go and listen to. But here, what I'll talk about is that lack of clarity creates your inability to make decisions. And not because you're not able to, but because you don't have a foundation and a filter through which you can run each scenario or situation you're in front and make a decision one way or the other rather than stay in indecision. Indecision stalls progress. And when the progress is stalled, your business is not growing, right? It's stuck. Now, what I want to say about decisions is that I often coach my clients on being worried to make decision because they want to pick the right perfect decision. And I always tell them in business, there's never 100% challenge proof, issues proof decision perfect. There is just better decisions, worse decisions in terms of the consequences or results they create. And how we know which decision is better for us is by being clear on the business trajectory, on what we're choosing to go after, what we're marketing for our clients, what is our mission, what is our goal for this year, and all those things. Otherwise, when you don't have clarity, you do end up with analysis paralysis or really stalling and having many unmade decisions, which will always stagnate progress in your business. Also, when you lack clarity and you have a team, that often translates in you sending the team on a bit of a goose chase when there is a lot of stop and go. They start doing this because you think that's the project they should undertake. And then you change your mind because you're not sure of your decision and you send them somewhere else. People don't like to do work that then they cannot finish, or people don't like to put time and effort in something that they cannot see the fruits of their effort. It makes their work meaningless. So if you direct your team to different things that they never finish, and there's a lot of chaos, that's very demotivating. And that's one of the reasons you might be losing your best team members, or why new people don't stay for too long. Your indecision, your lack of clarity definitely will affect your team if you have one. Clarity speeds things up. And it doesn't mean that when you're clear, you have to make rush decisions, but you can make fast, strategic, well thought through decisions, because clarity on the most important things in your business gives you a filter for decisions. So I highly recommend you listen to podcast 237 from January 23rd. When I was an entry-level employee, I was a customer service representative who was taking calls from across North America about challenges happening in different buildings. There were retail buildings, there were corporate buildings, and whether there were toilets overflowing or cars driving into the buildings, or just simple things like opening a door for somebody who locked themselves out of the office, what was my role? Being clear on processes that we followed to determine which call was more urgent than other allowed me to do my job well, but also make very fast decisions, because sometimes the calls that were coming were critical and there was some level of risk and danger to the buildings if the calls weren't addressed fast, right? So that clarity of what was important, what was my role, how to make certain decisions allowed me to be very effective and very speedy. And therefore, we were able to process a lot of calls in a very short time. So that's just to tell you that the clearer you are, the easier it is to make decisions, the faster you make them, and the better they are. And that's how your business moves faster. Okay. Number 3, when you are thinking like a service provider, not CEO of the business and leader of the business, that's when you are also a bottleneck. Because as a service provider, you probably only focus on what's in front of you today or maybe this week, right? So which clients to serve, which project to focus on, what is the next tasks in front of you, the meeting you have tomorrow, and all those things. But in order to move your business forward faster and create certain leaps of growth, there needs to be strategic thinking and focusing on priorities that are never urgent, that never have to be done right this moment. But when you work on those projects, they will move your business forward much faster. So, whether it's, for example, a new marketing funnel, whether it's reviewing your sales process and seeing where you have the gaps and what do you need to tweak and change so that your conversion goes faster rather than repeating something you've learned over and over, but then you have a leaky bucket and let's say half of the client, or whether it's taking time and create a strategy for hiring the right person or implementing new technology that will save you hours and hours of time, eliminate errors or whatever that is, right? So thinking and making decision like a CEO is a critical shift that has to happen in every business owner in order to scale. And the longer you wait to acquire those skills, to create certain habits that allow you to pause and think strategically about your business, the slower, the more you postpone more of a scaling of your business. Number 4, when you're so busy that you don't have time to focus on business development. And I mean, you don't have time to do any marketing, any relationship building. So you're just like, oh, I have this client. I need to serve them. I need to issue those invoices. I need to send those emails or respond to these emails, deal with this. So you're so busy that you never stop and you you're so busy that you pause your marketing for months, whether it's networking, whether it's social media, whether it's cold reach out, whatever it is. And then, of course, when you just focus on serving current clients and the task at hand and you pause marketing and sales, then in a few months, you'll hit a lull in your business. And yes, you will go back to marketing and selling, but that will take you another 2 or 3 months to bring up the revenue. So you're a bottleneck when you do I'm delivering service and then I don't market and sell, and then I don't have any business. So I market and sell for a couple months and then I get busy again and so on. Part of it is really managing your days and times and being effective and in charge of your schedule. The second part of it, knowing and understanding when it's the time to hire, right? When you're so busy with clients and they're coming on a regular basis that you're realizing, I don't have time to do business development. Now it's the time to think about help. And whether it's an administrative help, whether it's a contractor that can help you deliver the service or whatever. It depends on your business, on your strengths, on your goals, and so on. Another way I see business owners become bottlenecks in their business when they're a bit of control freaks and no decision is made without their involvement, especially when they already have a team where at least some team members would be capable of taking on some decision making and directing others and let's say being in charge of their respective areas of expertise, right? So when everything has to go through you while you already have some competent support, is that you can go on vacation without being attached to your phone and email. You can rest when you're sick, bedridden without having to look at your email and your phone call. Your business moves slower because if your staff needs to wait hours or sometimes a day or whatever it is, even when you're there present, but everybody's busy, it slows things down. And in business and growth, speed is very important. It's a critical thing. And so being able to properly delegate to your team members, being able to define their roles and their areas of decision making, and then having also a plan for the day to day when you're present, but also having a plan when you're away, backup, what decisions, who makes what happens in certain emergencies, and defining those processes, setting those systems will break your business free from you having to be there, having to be involved in every single thing, and it will speed up your growth. So, again, just an example from one of my last doing more junior executive roles when I was in corporate. As our department grew, I started delegating certain decisions to my managers and my team leads and my senior team members, right? So when I was a manager and our team was smaller, I was involved in the hiring where at first I did everything in hiring. And then once I had a team lead, I delegated the initial stages of hiring to them. And then I just got involved in the end stages of the hiring to make sure that every candidate was aligned with our culture and so on. But as our team grew, I delegated completely the hiring of the entry level positions to my managers and a team leader. I wasn't involved in it at all because I trusted my closest colleagues and, of course, my reports to do the good job, and how I trusted them because I mentored them and I taught them as the business grew. I gave them opportunity to hire and give them feedback and coach them and say that I knew they would do a good job and I didn't have to get involved. The only time I got involved in hiring if we're hiring for more senior positions, and it's the same. I would be involved only at the very ending late stages of that process. You can do that too as a business owners, and you should be doing it gradually as your business grows to start removing yourself from the front line, most basic sort of decision, whether it's hiring, whether it's process improvement, and so on, and then keep your energy and mental capacity for the decisions and things that make the most impact on the business. Hey, and then the last instance I want to talk about when you might hit a bottleneck of your business is when you don't listen to your employees. You don't allow them to bring to you their ideas, their creativity. You just tell them what to do exactly how you want it, and they just follow your steps almost like robots without their own input and creativity. The power of having help and employees is not only that they can do the work that now you don't have to do, and it frees you up as a CEO to do, more impactful things on the business and be more strategic about it, but also because you're hiring them for their brain, for their creativity, for the experience and an outlook that they bring to the table that you don't have just because they're different human beings. I can't even stress how important it is. I've seen it in my career, whether it's in my own business or as a corporate leader, where my team members would bring ideas I would have never come up with, would see certain need for improvement much faster, especially if they were one doing the work, interacting with the customers more often, or just involved in certain things that you're not involved yourself. They will see signs of challenges or areas for improvement much faster than you will ever see. So I was just talking with a business owner yesterday about their journey, and she gave me that very example just as she was starting to opening a location, a health and wellness clinic. And one of the employees to be in that health and wellness clinic came to see the space with her and suggested that she opened a wall in one of the areas. And she said, you know what? It would have never occurred to me to do that. And I'm so glad I listened to her. And I did that when this space was still under renovation and preparation for opening, because now it gives me so much more flexibility as to how I can arrange the space, what I can do with it during business hours, outside of business hours, and so on. So, listening to people and not needing to be right all the time and not needing having the best answer all the time, especially when you have team members, it's not a sign of weakness. First of all, it's a sign of self confidence and having the security when you know you don't have to have all the answers, and leaning onto others who are passionate about what they do, who want the business to succeed because hopefully you hired the right people, and using that power to create something much bigger than just individuals in the business, right? The power of a high performing team is that when it works really well together, the output or the results are created and way bigger than if you took everybody and started working individually, not as a team. So I hope this episode gave you clarity on where you might be a bottleneck in your business and how to fix that. And if you need help in identifying whether that or figuring out what is next or how do I go about removing myself from certain aspects of my business, whether it's through hiring, whether it's through empowering your team, whether it's through acquiring some skills, I am happy to help. Book a complimentary consultation with me through the link in the show notes. Have a fantastic week and see you next week. Bye.